Weirdest things NFL players actually bought.
The NFL provides young men in their 20s the chance to become multimillionaires overnight as a result of their ability to excel on the gridiron. While some players have taken full advantage of this opportunity and have made smart investments with their money to create generational wealth, there is another portion of the league that spent the money just as fast as they earned it. When you make as much as some of the players that we will cover on this list, you have to get creative to blow through even a fraction of their career earnings. This can at times lead certain players to make some very peculiar purchases. Today, we will break down some of the weirdest things that NFL players actually bought. Up first was an extremely expensive addition to a bedroom from one of the most talented wide receivers of a generation. 1. Chad Johnson's fish tank bed. Chad Johnson was an extremely talented wideout during his 11 years in the NFL. He entered the league as the 36th overall pick by the Cincinnati Bengals in the 2001 NFL Draft. Throughout his time in the league, Johnson spent time playing for the Cincinnati Bengals and the New England Patriots. At the time of his retirement, he made 6 appearances in the Pro Bowl and 2 appearances on the All-Pro team. Today, some know Johnson more from his unique and lovable personality. He was one of the most entertaining players in the league during his prime both on and off of the field. Although he would be stingy with his money at times, he would never be one to shy away from splurging when he felt that the time was right. There are countless odd purchases that Johnson has made that left many scratching their heads. However, one of the most eccentric was his fish tank bed. His house would feature 2 enormous aquariums that were made by Wade King and Brett Raymer, who featured in the reality show Tanked on Animal Planet. One of these huge fish tanks would also function as the headboard on Johnson's bed. He would take to Twitter to flex the amazing-looking addition to his bedroom, saying, "At Evelyn Lozada stares at these darn fish every time before bed." While this may seem like a senseless purchase on the surface, building an extravagant dream home marked a very significant moment in Johnson's career. Early on during his time in the NFL, Johnson would go as far as sleeping at the Cincinnati Bengals facility so he would not have to rent an apartment or buy a house. When talking about that point in his life, he was quoted as saying, "You gotta remember, I stayed at the stadium the first 2 years because I didn't want to spend no money. What's the point? Why are you telling me to go rent a house, go buy a house, or go rent a condo when everything I need is right here in the facility at Paul Brown? Showers, cafeteria, TV, couch, gaming system. What's the point?" Once Johnson established himself as one of the top wideouts in the NFL and one of the hottest commodities at his position, he felt that he could finally take some money and ball out on a dream house, the fish tank headboard being one of the most interesting pieces. Up next is one of the biggest what-ifs in NFL history, making a huge investment in an addition to his property. 2. Michael Vick's $85,000 fish pond. Michael Vick was one of the most entertaining quarterbacks of all time. He was one of the players to revolutionize the quarterback position and bring in the wave of dual-threat players at the position. If it had not been for the bad decisions that sent him to prison during the prime of his career, there is a chance that Vick could have fulfilled his potential and gone down as a generational talent that was ahead of his time rather than the situation that the general public best knows him for. Vick would enter the league as the first overall pick of the 2001 NFL Draft by the Atlanta Falcons. In his 13 seasons in the league, he would play for the Falcons, Philadelphia Eagles, New York Jets, and Pittsburgh Steelers. At the time of his retirement, he was named to 4 Pro Bowl teams and won the 2010 Comeback Player of the Year award. While it is not unusual for people to invest money into their property to further raise the value, the way that Vick chose to go about it was a very odd one. Rather than renovating the interior of the house or building a pool, the 4-time Pro Bowler would instead sink $85,000 on a fish pond. Vick would go on an enormous spending spree before his eventual prison sentence, one of the oddest purchases being his fish pond. Along with the $85,000 that he would spend on the pond itself, he would have to also spend an additional $50,000 for additional landscaping that was necessary to make the pond exactly to his liking. Shockingly, this purchase would come while he was in debt and would no longer be receiving checks from the NFL for the following 2 years while he carried out his sentence in jail. However, after his time behind bars, Vick was able to bounce back both on and off of the field. He quickly adjusted his game to being one of the more talented backup quarterback options in the league while he better managed his finances with the money he made from his final 7 seasons at the professional level. What if I told you the next player on the list would buy one of the oddest choices for a pet? 3. Darnell Dockett's pet alligator. Darnell Dockett was the 64th overall pick of the 2004 NFL Draft by the Arizona Cardinals, where he would spend the entirety of his 10-year NFL career. In that time, he made the Pro Bowl 3 times. Dockett prided himself on having a plethora of exotic pets, and at the time of his retirement, he could have easily opened his own zoo if he wanted. 2 of the most odd purchases from the collection would come in the form of his 2 pet alligators. One of the gators is named Honey, and Dockett purchased the animal for an undisclosed amount. When he made the purchase, the pet was set to grow to over 500 pounds. Shockingly, when asked about the alligator potentially growing to such a huge size, Dockett was quoted as saying he can't wait until she does. Along with his gators, Dockett has also purchased a tiger cub and allegedly attempted to buy a monkey for $30,000. Dockett's alleged zoo is so out of the norm for an NFL player that some have speculated that he is making up many of the animals that he says he has purchased. The next weird purchase on the list would end up putting this NFL player behind bars. 4. Sam Hurd's illegal business plan. Sam Hurd was undrafted as a member of the 2006 NFL draft class. Despite this, he was able to defy the odds and grind his way onto an NFL roster. He would get his chance as a member of the Dallas Cowboys, where he would spend the first 5 years of his NFL career before playing his final season in the league with the Chicago Bears. As a result of Hurd being an undrafted free agent and struggling to ever break into a consistent starting role, a majority of NFL fans do not know him for his on-the-field achievements. Instead, arguably the most notable moment from his time in the league came with one of the weirdest and most boneheaded purchases made in the history of the league. Hurd was caught attempting to purchase copious amounts of marijuana and cocaine from an undercover agent. At the time of his arrest, he was accused of possessing 500 grams or more of cocaine with intent to distribute. The investigation was run in North Texas and Illinois and was carried out for 6 months. In their findings, officers found that one of Hurd's previous narcotics connections supplied him with up to $200,000 per week in product. When speaking with an undercover agent, Hurd was quoted as saying that he handled higher-end drug deals and hoped to find Mexican cell phones that U.S. law enforcement would struggle to trace. He would then take a kilogram of cocaine from the undercover office, promising to pay him for it once he was done practicing with the Bears the following day. After the news broke, the Bears did not hesitate to cut him from the team, as these kinds of charges normally result in an extremely long time behind bars. Hurd would become a free man in 2023 after serving 10 of his 15-year sentence for drug trafficking.